everyone, and welcome to our media conference call for Bernard Hopkins versus Joe Smith Jr. I will now introduce Oscar De La Hoya, Chairman and CEO of Golden Boy Promotions.
Thank you very much, and thank you all for joining us today on this media conference call for former two-time Division World Champion and future World Champion Bernard Hopkins' Final One fight against light heavyweight contender Joe Smith Jr. On December 17th, a boxing legend enters the ring for the final time as Bernard the Executioner Hopkins, at 50 years young, steps into the ring at the Fabulous Forum against Joe Smith Jr., a rising contender in the light heavyweight division, who was born 3 years after Bernard took his first fight. This fight can be seen live on HBO World Championship Boxing on Saturday, December 17th. Bernard Hopkins' resume reads like a Hall of Fame introduction ballot. Between holding the record for the record number of title defenses as middleweight champion of the world, which is 20, and moving up to light heavyweight to capture multiple belts in that division, Hopkins has fought and defeated a who's who of boxing world champions throughout his 28-year boxing career. The list goes on and on. Felix Trinidad, Roy Jones Jr., Kevin Kelly, Antonio Tarver, John Pascal, Glenn Johnson, myself, we've all tasted defeat at the hands of the Executioner. So tickets are still available. You can purchase them at the fabulousforum.com or ticketmaster.com. And obviously want to thank our sponsors for their continued support for this event and for Golden Boy. Tecate beer has been an incredible partner at every single event that Golden Boy Promotions puts on, and we want to thank them for sponsoring the Final One here with Bernard Hopkins on December 17th. I also want to thank Casa Mexico Tequila for all their continued support. And obviously for being part of these exciting events that Golden Boy Promotions puts on. As you know, we're calling it the Final One, and Bernard Hopkins has expressed that this is the Final One, and we are really excited to be putting together this card. From top to bottom, it will be exciting, it will be thrilling, it will be an amazing final fight for Bernard Hopkins, but to end off the year with a huge bang. We want to thank HBO for putting this together. And at this moment, it is my pleasure to introduce a young man who not only is my partner, but what an exciting moment it is for Bernard Hopkins. Bernard is not fighting someone who is a walk in the park. He's fighting a difficult fight, and is a gentleman, obviously, and has every opportunity in the books to win, and can win a world title. I mean, this Hopkins, Hopkins is a fighter who always wants to challenge himself, a fighter who wants to fight the very best. And obviously, this fight here with Joe Smith is no exception. I mean, this fight here is a very difficult fight, and a fight that anything can happen. But Bernard Hopkins is Bernard Hopkins, and that's why he is a living legend. So it really is my great pleasure to be introducing the legend that on December 17th will make history and have his final fight, the final one, against a very tough, difficult fighter in Joe Smith. So it is my pleasure to introduce to you fighter called the Executioner, and that is Bernard Hopkins. Bernard, just say a few words.
Thank you, Oscar, and thank all the sponsors and everybody that helped HBO put this legendary night, and also a historic night for me and and the fans, I want to be able to let them see some action, some exciting action from top to bottom, as Oscar said. I'm very, very ready to have the final one to where people will ask me not to go, but they will see something very special that they've seen many, many times before. I'm in competition with myself, and I've always been in that situation once I realized that to stay fresh in this game, mentally and physically, more mentally at my stage, because physically is automatic. Challenging myself and taking on, as Oscar said minutes ago or seconds ago, the best options out there that want to step in and challenge my mindset and what I have to do what they have to do. So I'm ready. We're on the final stretch. It's the last month of November, going into December. I'm feeling great, like most fighters will say around this time, but I really feel great. And bring your notebooks, your pads for the young guys that's going to hear this interview. And they're going to learn something. And I'm going to make sure come December 17th, they're going to learn the textbook about boxing. And that's what I want to show. And that's what I'm going to show. And so looking forward to being on HBO, prime time. People can see, and they can see Sunday and they can see Monday. So I'm really looking forward to the final one. And just sit back and enjoy and understand that there will be no more like me.
Thank you, Bernard. And now it is my pleasure and want to introduce to you a man who we work with often, and we are proud to be partnering up for many years to come and putting on some great fights. Ladies and gentlemen, he is the president and CEO of Star Boxing, and this is Joe DeGuardia.
Thank you, Oscar. It's certainly a pleasure to be on this call. I thank Golden Boy for giving us and Joe the opportunity in this fight. It's certainly going to be an exciting night on December 17th. Let me also echo the comments and thank the media for being on this call, and obviously Bernard Hopkins, who's, as we all know, a real legend, and it's really certainly a pleasure to be a part of his final fight at the LA Forum on such a great network, HBO, and we're looking forward to this night. As Joe Smith, I just want to say to everybody that I know we're going to be seeing the final night for Bernard, and it's going to be something really fitting that a legend like Bernard is going to be taking on a young, hungry lion like Joe Smith, Jr. And, it's I think Bernard certainly deserves a lot of credit for taking on Joe Smith. And, he's really going to be in for, I think, maybe a little bit of a surprise, the same way Fonfera was when Joe upset him and knocked him out this past June in the first round. I'm really proud to be associated with this fight. I'm very proud to be associated with Joe Smith, Jr. I know that he won the WBC International Championship this year, and he'll be defending that in December against Bernard. But I'm really proud of the fact that he is symbolic of the American spirit. He gets up every morning. He's been getting up for these past few years of his life, working that sledgehammer, working with the union. He's a proud member of the Laborers Union, Local 66. And he's going to bring all of that hard work and dedication into the ring on December 17th. And I think everybody's going to see a great night of boxing. Make sure, if you're not at the LA Forum, to tune in on HBO on December 17th. It's going to be a great night of boxing. thank you all, and looking forward to a great, great night. And I want to introduce you now to Joe Smith Jr., who is 22-1, 18 knockouts in 23 fights. Really something special, and again, really symbolic of the true American spirit of hard work. That's Joe Smith Jr. Thank you all.
I just want to thank HBO and Star Boxing and Golden Boy Promotions for making this fight happen, making it possible. And, I'm looking forward to putting on a great show December 17th. I've been in the gym every day, training hard, focusing on what's to come, and, just really mentally preparing myself for everything Bernard Hopkins has got for me. So, I'm just excited. The time's getting close. The date's almost here, and I'm ready to get in there and put on a great show.
Wonderful. Thank you. And now we can open it up for questions from the media.
Thank you. If you have a question, please press star, then 1 on your touch-tone phone. If you wish to remove yourself from the queue, please press the pound sign or the hash key. Once again, if you have a question, please press star, then 1 on your touch-tone phone. And our first question comes from Bernard Fernandez from Sweet Science. Your line is open.
Hello? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Bernard, I'm hearing that Nazim might not be with you for this fight, and I was wondering if that's the case, why is that, and who will, be working your corner?
Well, I've been working with John David Jackson for a while, and I'm not talking about years ago. Of course, everybody know that, but not even secretly. But I've been working with John for a while and talking to John, and we came to a decision that I think that Nazim is not, capable of fitting in this fight because of his situation personally. And I didn't want to be in a situation where I feel that, I have to guess or have to scramble later on down the line. So to me was really hand fitting in the glove when it comes to having my options to be with John David Jackson, and also know the history that me and John have all the way when he was champion in the city of Philadelphia. So I'm in good hands, and again, I will be spectacular come December 17th.
You mentioned about Nazim's personal situation. Can you elaborate on that a little bit, or
No, he can. He will.
Okay. All right. Well, look, I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you. Our next question comes from Mike Kopinger from USA Today.
Hey, Bernard. How's it going?
Everything is good. Everything is good.
So, you defeated John David Jackson, and now you're training with him, and you defeated Oscar, and you work with him. What is it about your former fallen foes joining you to work?
Well, let's start with John first. John David Jackson, to me, and I've said it not just for this fight for promotional reasons, I've said it many times that he's very overlooked, and not by everyone, but he's very overlooked, and to me, he's one of the top 3 or 4 trainers that's out there that actually know the game, obviously know me because of our relationship going all the way back in Champ Sim in Philadelphia when he was champion, and I was literally a young guy trying to be world champion and getting my experience sparring with him as his sparring partner. So when you look at the craftsmanship of John David Jackson and the fighters he worked with, even on the other side of the promotion of DeGuara and his company and his fighters. So when you see that a guy has not only the tools to be able to give you the right information, and you respect them, and you're willing to move out on those missions that he put you on. It's just like anything. You have to have confidence, and you have to have trust in your teacher, in your coach. And to me, John David Jackson has been representing that for many, many years. I'm not going to say 10, but for many years. And to me, it was like it was a perfect transition because of the situation. Nothing negative, but the situation of knowing this guy, know me, we've been together, we're comfortable. He trusts me, I trust him, and that's the key, to be able to give your trainer, your teacher, your coach, all that he wants from you, and he's going to do that at that night when you desperately need it or you need it, period. And that's the thing. And so, being a veteran, you get these advantages that other fighters that don't put time in the game or don't have time in the game would never get until they get past the time to get it.
Were you impressed with the job JDJ did with Kovalev against Ward and also against yourself in your last fight?
Say that again?
Were you impressed with the job John did with Sergey Kovalev against Andre Ward and also against you in your last fight with Kovalev?
Well, that wasn't my decision on why John is with me. Like I said, John is in Florida when he's not overseas or working with anybody else. But we know each other. I mean, literally know each other. Holidays, he texts my wife, and I text him back and forth. I got a place in Florida. When I'm in Florida, I go to his gym where he trains at. So it's been like on and off. When I'm in town, I see him. When something's come up, we text, we do this, we do that. So to me, it was like not just those two fights. I mean, those fights are seen for everybody. It goes back way before that. I mean, it goes back, again, I'm going to go back to in the middleweight division. When he was one of my defenses out of 20 defenses, he was one of those defenses. So we got time in, man. I mean, I don't think that there's any situation in boxing right now that if you look at our relationship and how long we've been knowing each other from different stages of our life, his and mine, I think it's kind of extraordinary.
Thank you. Our next question comes from Mitch Abramson from RingTV.com.
Hey, thanks. Hey, Bernard, how are you?
I'm good.
Good. So, Bernard, I know you've said in the past that this is your last fight, that this is it. This is, we're not going to see you anymore. But if you look great against Joe, say you knock him out in the first couple rounds, you look rejuvenated under John David Jackson, are you saying that if all that happens, you still will not fight again?
I'm done. It's a final one, and whether it was John David Jackson or Nazim, I'm going to look great no matter what, because I feel that I know that I can do a lot more than Joe Smith would ever learn in the game of boxing as long as I've been in. And knowledge is key, and then you bring the physical to back it up. So when December 17th fast approach and it comes here, and I want to put on a performance where y'all would ask me and beg me to stay, but I won't, to answer your question. So that's a challenge that I have for me, and that's a challenge that I believe Joe Smith Jr. wants to make his name, that we're going to push me to bring my greatness out, because for fighters to understand greatness, you must be in there with someone to push that out of you. You can't talk your way to being great. And if you do, and you don't show that you're great, you will embarrass yourself in front of the world. I don't like being embarrassed.
Bernard, is that the reason why you decided that this will be your last fight? Just because you sense that if you keep on going, that something bad, like you mentioned, embarrassment might happen in your career? I mean, why did you decide that this is going to be your last fight?
Because I believe timing is everything. I believe timing in my calculation of my career. I proved a whole bunch of people wrong, as you know. I don't have to repeat the time and the place and the names. And so when it gets to a point where after December 17th, there's nothing to prove. So some they would say there's nothing to prove now, but that's their opinion. My opinion is I've done it my way. My anthem song coming out will be my way. If anybody living on this planet would know where that song comes from and what that song means, it's legendary, like myself. And I'm not saying it to be braggadocious. I'm saying it to be confident and let you understand how I think. No one can look through my eyes and look through what I see because they've been missing it for the last 28 years of my career, at least half of those years when I became somebody significant in boxing. So I'll say with people that have the right to ask questions, and I don't mind because I'm in the question business, but also I'm in the business of proving me into my legacy. When I'm done, there's no stone that haven't been unturned. And that's the key. Remember that quote. There's no stone when my career is over that hasn't been unturned. And so there'll be no regrets. There'll be no, I should have did this or I should have done this.
All right. Thanks, Bernard. Can I ask a question to Joe Smith? Joe, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hey, Joe. How you doing today?
How's it going?
Good. Just Joe, how do you expect this fight to go with Bernard? I mean, he's 51. You're a guy that has power in both hands. I mean, do you expect this fight to be quick? Do you expect this fight to be a long, grueling fight? I mean, in your mind, how do you expect this fight to go?
I mean, I'm prepared to go 12 rounds. I know Bernard Hopkins, he's a crafty guy and he knows how to survive in there. But if I get the opportunity to take him out, I'm going to do that.
Do you worry about being odd or being just I guess being awed by the moment? I know you had a big fight in your last fight, but this will be a lot bigger, obviously, facing Hopkins. So have you talked about that with your coaches at all? Just in terms of being ready for the moment.
I mean, I go into every fight the same way. I just look at the person in front of me and just know that I need to do everything I can to beat that person, whether it's a legend or nobody. They're there to hurt me and take everything I worked for. So that's all. I look at every fighter the same. It doesn't matter who he is.
Okay, thanks. Good luck, guys.
Thank you. And our next question comes from Bastinio Lois Jr. from Black Star News.
Yes, thank you very much. Bernard Hopkins, Bastinio Lois, Black Star News, New York. I hear you say that you've done. This is a publicity of the fight, your last fight. But you may not remember me, but in the many conversations we've had when we talk about fighting and conditioning and challenges, I've seen the gleam in your eyes of always looking to the other border, to the other challenge. Can you convince me, despite your sincerity today, that this is really your last fight, even if you are victorious over Joe Smith, when you have these other challenges, Andre Ward just recently, and maybe a return with Kovalev, or Superman Stevenson, who's floundering on somewhere, he also has titles. So are you really telling me, convincing me that this is it for Bernard, the execution of Hopkins?
Yes. Yes.
Definitely. You go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, that's the answer is yes. Okay.
Yes.
you wrote a lot. We spoke about conditioning and how you've lived your life. Do you maybe envision writing a book about yourself? I know Oscar de la Hoya did that. Would you also think in terms of writing a book about your life and how and conditioning, which would be a manual for youngsters to follow?
Possibly, yes. The right opportunity, yes. The right person, the right company, yes. There's a lot of things. There's a lot of things that's going to come in the future, God willing. But at the meantime, right now, I'm focused on Joe Smith Jr. I'm focused on taking the young lion to school and tame him. And so I'm focused on that. I'm focused on now being that matador. Right.
I see what you mean. Thank you. Joe Smith, I'd like to address myself to you, if you may, if I may, Joe DeGuardia can answer this. Being victorious, this is the biggest challenge that I think that you've had besides the one-punch knockout from Farah. But being victorious, well, then that opened the door for you to challenge the three that I just mentioned to Bernard, Ward, Kovalev, and Stevenson?
Well, yeah, I'll answer that.
Thank you. Right.
But, look, certainly many doors open, but you've got to get through Bernard Hopkins, and that's what Joe's focused on right now. That's what we're focused on. We're all focused on December 17th on HBO for Joe Smith Jr. to do what we all hope he's going to do over here on our side, and that's prevail against a legend like Bernard Hopkins. And once he does that, every door in the world is open to him. So that's what we're looking forward to, and that's what we're focusing on.
Right. Joe, are you doing anything extra in training camp, knowing that you're fighting a legend who knows every square inch, the area code of that ring to prepare to be victorious? Anything extra?
No, doing everything the same. Just pushing myself. Each fight, I push myself a little harder. I'm training very hard, running, doing everything I can to win, like I always do.
Right. So you're going to live up to the nickname of the Irish Bomber. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I definitely plan on living up to that.
Right. Well, thank you very much. God bless both of you, and I'm looking forward to a great fight. And thank you, Oscar de la Hoya, for this conference. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our next question comes from Jake Donovan from BoxingScene.com.
My first question is for Joe Smith. Joe, I just want to know, if your own personal timetable changed once you got the Fanfara fight, and then especially once you got that result in the Fanfara fight. Like, when you went into 2016, did you anticipate, fighting on NBC and fighting a legend like Bernard Hopkins was going to be on the table?
No, didn't expect that at all. I mean, we were always hoping for it and always working towards it and getting it. But, the opportunity popped up, and I started preparing for it. With the Fanfara fight, as soon as the opportunity came, I jumped right on it. Took off of work. I was working as a laborer at the time for Local 66. I left, trained for 2 months straight, and I came out on top. And then, once I got that victory, this opportunity came up to fight Bernard, and I did the same thing. Took off of work, and I just been focusing on him and what I need to do to beat him.
All right. And then, are you still training in Long Island for this fight, or did you relocate? I kind of have a follow-up question, depending on the answer.
Still training in Long Island. I'm actually at my home gym right now, Unique Fitness, gymnastics, and I just finished up a media workout. And we have, HBO. We just finished up, and then now I'm sitting here in the gym on the phone with you guys.
Definitely. And I actually lived out in Massac for about 18 months. I know it's not exactly a boxing hotbed. Just how have things changed out there, since your win over Fanfara?
Yeah, I travel all over the place for sparring, though. I go out to the city. I explore all over the place.
Okay, cool, Joe. I appreciate it. Thank you very much, and good luck. Bernard, I'm going to see you tomorrow, so I got no questions for you at this time.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next question comes from Jerome Souza from FirstClassBoxing.com.
Hello, my question is for Joe DeGuardia. Joe, when we spoke, you had mentioned that there was a large union support that was going to be there for Joe Smith Jr. Could you touch on that? I mean, does that mean that they're going to have a lot of the union presence at the arena? Do they still have the fight on their agenda? What specifically do you mean when you say the large union outpour?
No, certainly they have Joe on the agenda. There's unions obviously across the country. Many different unions are actually supporting him, not just the laborers, but obviously he's a laborers and a member of the laborers union, but the electrical union, and there's a whole bunch of different unions that are supporting him. And, we've been inundated with requests for tickets, people that are flying out there from the New York area, and actually people from California as well. In fact, today at 2:30, we know they're doing a send-off for Joe out in one of the local area hospitals, Stony Brook. It's a children's hospital. It's a new wing that's being built that the unions are working on out there and have been very supportive of. And I know today at around 2:30 they're going to be doing a send-off for Joe. So the support has been tremendous. And, like I said, it's, really somebody that's one of their own. And everybody can identify with him, particularly guys that are in the unions. And, unions are, a group that really sticks together and supports one another. And they're all supporting Joe Smith.
Okay, and my next question is for Oscar. Oscar, Joe Smith and Bernard are primarily East Coast guys. The fight's taking place on the West Coast. There's the issues with the New York Athletic Commission and their insurance regulations. Could you touch on the fan base as far as Bernard in the LA area? I know Jojo Diaz is on the card, but do you see a strong fan base turning out on December 17th? Hello?
Is Oscar on? That's calls for Oscar.
Oscar is actually no longer with us, so if you could redirect your question to somebody else, that would be great. Thanks.
Sure. For Bernard, you're an East Coast guy. This fight's taking place in L.A. Could you touch on your fan base as far as the L.A. crowd? I know you fought in Staples Center before, but as far as coming out and supporting you on December 17th?
Yeah, I mean, one thing about having longevity and doing things in boxing or things in any sport, people follow you, whether you're East Coast, whether you're West Coast, Midwest. It doesn't mean your fans is going to fall off and not support you. It's called worldly known. And the fan base of the East Coast, where I'm from, will be there and also be watching. And, Joe DeGuardia and his team mentioned about the union. There's unions in every city in America, especially Philadelphia, which is probably one of the biggest unions. I'm also from a union called the State Correctional Institutional Penitentiaries, and they all over the world also. and everybody know nothing I brag about, but it's just that hard-nosed, that brotherlyhood, and that understanding that we can come from under a rock and make diamonds. And so I want to just touch on that for a second. But the base of fans, I can't speak for Joe Smith Jr., but my fan base is worldly known, and it should be because of the time I put in, fairness to him. But he has his opportunity come December 17th to turn his page, and that's where y'all going to enjoy it that night.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, gentlemen, for your time.
Thank you. Our next question comes from Eddie Goldman from No Holds Barred.
Thank you very much. Hello, everybody. First question for Bernard. Bernard, this being your last fight, do you want to leave people with some special memory of it?
Special memory amongst the memories they already have? Yes, because, like I said, I'm in competition with myself. And I've been in that competition for many, many years. There's no respect or disrespect to any other person I stepped in a ring with. But when you reach the level and you've done most things that young fighters or fighters will never do, yeah, I definitely want to outdo myself come December 17th and look good and look spectacular. And that's what I'm going to do, and that's what I need. And I believe I have the right opponent, champion, to be able to bring those things out of me. He's a puncher. He comes to destroy. He's a hard worker. He's a union guy. He won't run. He won't lay back. He'll try to execute. He'll try to do what he has to do. I need that. That's always been my game. And so, like I said, that makes good fights. And you got matched up where guys want to fight, and they come to fight and risking getting hit and getting hurt themselves. And that's what boxing, to me, when it comes to excitement, when it comes to building a fan base, that's music to my ears.
Do you think after everything you've been through, all the disrespect you've received, all the controversy over the years, that you've finally gotten the respect that you deserve as a boxer?
I finally got the respect that I deserve. I mean, I believe I got the respect really a long time ago. I mean, I think people, secretly and openly respect me. I just think they just had to get used to me. and when you're not understandable, when people don't understand you, you can be a little agitated to them. You can be a little oddly different. But I think I grew on a lot of people by my own way and my way only. And I think even your worst critic will respect that a man didn't waver, that a man didn't bend, that a man like Bernard Hopkins didn't fold. Even if you didn't agree to disagree, at the end of the day, I think really true men respect that at the end of the day. And so, to answer your question, that's the way I answer it, because I believe that's what happens. And I think at the end of the day, they live with that, and I live with mine.
And a question for Joe Smith. Joe, you're in a fight. Obviously, this is going to be viewed as a very special fight. What's your reaction to being in a fight that's going to be remembered as Bernard Hopkins' final fight? Just as people remembered Joe Louis's last fight, Muhammad Ali's last fight, another great fighter's last fight, differently than other fights in their career.
I mean, it's great. It's great opportunity for me to fight, somebody well known as like Bernard Hopkins, and especially that it's his last fight. But I plan on putting a great show on and making sure it's his last fight. I'm gonna make him go out, my way, not his way.
Okay, thank you, and good luck to everybody.
Our next question comes from Greg Leon from Boxing Talk.
Bernard, what's going on?
Everything's good.
You have a long history of fighting punchers. Most of the time you've achieved great success. I know you take pride in what you like to call running towards the gun when you're fighting a puncher. Did you want to end your career against a puncher like Smith following the Kovalev loss? And can we expect to see you run towards the gun on December 17th?
Well, a bouncer ain't going to be running from it, because then you get hit in the back. But I will be the Matrix. I will be the executioner. I will be all the things that I need to be in that square circle. I know every real estate in every ring that's in the world without even being in it. The sweet science has always been something that I've been addicted to. And come December 17th, everything is going to be on display. The professor at work. And like I said, you mainly the young, which will be watching this fight more. they got to have their notepads out. They got to take note of, it's like watching the last game of Michael Jordan, the last game of Kobe Bryant. You want to get these things, if you're an athlete in basketball, football, in my case, boxing, I want to be able to take my notes, my DVR, all these things to be able to say, man, did you see that move? And so, again, it's not grade school for me. It's definitely not college because I've been there already in the boxing world. So I'm on something else, and I will show it December 17th. I won't run from it, but I will also be smart, and that's the key.
Do you think you'd still be fighting at 51 if you were paid accordingly during your middleweight title reign?
Yes.
Okay. Following the 17th, do you see yourself taking a larger role in Golden Boy Promotions on the business side? If so, what?
Well, I'm taking a larger role now since the changes. I can't get into the legal details of it because of conflict, not conflict, but because of confidentiality. But I've already accepted and signed off on that. So that's already in the bag. My thing is now to just maintain it. And if you want to throw in the HBO color commentating, I love doing that also. I will be doing it even more now since I'm committed. And also segments on the fight game and the perfect execution that you be seeing every big fight that come up, even the last Ward and Kovalev fight. You see me break it down. You see me call that fight the way it was. If Andre wins, he wins by decision. If Kovalev wins, he wins by knockout. Kovalev missed that opportunity when he knocked him down. So, again, don't call me Houdini. I can do a lot of things at one time, and Joe Smith will see that December 17th. You will see not just one style. He has to train for 4, 5, 6, 7 different styles that I might show him. Let's see, can he handle that? If he can, then I guess he passed the grade. But let's see first. And so to be multitasked, you got to be multitasked in life, not just one thing. And I'm that, and I've represented that, I believe, very well.
A lot of your moves, Bernard, are based on timing. Obviously, you feel it's the right time for you to end your career. How can you be certain an opportunity won't present itself, whether it's a year or two down the line, that entices you back in the ring? How are you so certain this is the right time, that it's going to be final this time?
Because I'm in control. They're not. I'm in control of me. I'm in control of my decisions. And I took that responsibility in 1988 when I was released from Greater Force State Penitentiary with 9 years parole and haven't been back in 28 years, and started a new life and obviously made a legacy of my life. I'm in control. If that don't answer profoundly, then I can't give you another response towards that question. I'm in control.
Next, we have Bernard Fernandez from Sweet Science.
All right. Yes. I have another question for you, Bernard, and I have one for Joe, too. But Larry Holmes once said, a trainer is very important at the beginning of a fighter's career. Over time, you don't really need a trainer. You've got to train yourself. You've got to motivate yourself. And I don't think anybody can put that in you. You have to do that all by yourself. You were with Bowie. You were with Nazim. You had turns with Sloan Harrison and Freddie Roach. At this point of your career, do you agree with Larry Holmes said? I mean, could you have trained yourself for this, or over time did you take something from all the people that you work with?
The second question, I take time from a lot of people. I work for even Smokey Wilson, who's soon to be getting home from doing almost 40 years in the penitentiary, who trained me in Greater Force State Penitentiary, named Michael Wilson. We call him Smokey, which we've done many stories on him, Bernard. I learned from everybody. I get the knowledge from the cradle to the grave. I'll say that again. It's an old saying by old wise men. From the cradle to the grave, I get the knowledge. And Joe Smith can learn this too. just because you start off with someone don't mean you're going to end with them, and that's in your career. That's very profoundly said, right? Just because a person start off with you or a team does not necessarily means you're going to end with them. Some will die, some will leave, some this, some that. It's part of life, things that you can't control. And it don't necessarily have to be negative. It just has to be what it is. But I can function under any circumstances. And I have proven that. So it's nothing that I take on as something of a badge and honor, but I take on as I've been here before. Different situation, but I got to look at what's in hand. You know, one of the most challenging things was 2001, 7-1 underdog, New York City, 2 weeks before the fight, 9/11. What a distraction. One of my greatest performances.
Okay, this question is for Joe Smith. Obviously, a lot has been said about the fact that John David Jackson will be the chief second in Bernard's corner. 2 years ago, when Bernard fought Sergey Kovalev, John David Jackson said, "Sergey's too strong for Bernard. He's a crafty old man, but his strength in punching bodily couldn't match with the younger man." Well, obviously, you're a much younger man. Everybody knows that you can whack. But another thing that John David Jackson said, you know, before that fight when he was in the opposite corner from Bernard, was that a good jabber frustrates Hopkins every time. To what you see, you know, does a good jab bother Bernard? You know, everybody knows that you're a good puncher, you know, and do you have the jab to be able to frustrate him as Kovalev did with his good jab?
Yeah, I mean, I believe I have one of the best jabs out there in boxing. A lot of people haven't gotten to see it yet. Most of my fights were short. But in this fight, I plan on, you know, showing my boxing skills as much as my power. I believe a lot of people will be impressed about how I look in there.
Thank you. Next, we have Jose Sanchez from The New Day.
Hello, Bernard. Yeah. This being your last fight, are you savoring the experiences more than during your career? Do you find yourself with a bittersweet feeling, maybe thinking that this will be the last time? And another question: of all your great performances, you spoke of the Trinidad fight, which was one of many of your great performances. Which ones are personally your favorites? The ones that are more valuable or more important to you?
I mean, all the fights that matters to me when it comes to once I made history. So I mean, it's so many that I can mention. But to me, it's just I have to go ahead to answer the other question. It's not a distraction. It's just something that I want to remind people that this is the last one, and they need to pay attention to that and understand that. And if they don't, they don't. If they do, they do. But they get a chance to see the artwork, the street science, December 17th on HBO Live, prime time. So there's so many fights in my career, and so many challenges, and so many historic moments. To narrow down is just one. There's many than one, and most people know what those 3 or 4 or 5 are. So I don't want to reminisce because my focus is December 17th. My focus is, yes, everything I did is in back of me. Let me repeat what I just said to you. Everything you want to ask me about the past is in back of me. It's only a reminder of what I've done and what I can do. But what's in front of me, December 17th, is Joe Smith, the sledgehammer, the hammer, the things y'all said. And I want y'all to watch me declaw the tiger. Just watch me declaw the tiger. And I don't want no one to make any excuse that I got in his head that Bernard did this, Bernard did that. He wasn't ready. Joe Smith wasn't nobody. He only beat one guy that had a name. Don't do that to the young fighter. Don't do the Kelly Padlet to the young fighter. Give him respect, because the guys you mentioned about my legacy, about what I did in back of me, that's in back of me, they had enough heart to step in that ring to challenge themselves to dare to be great. And so Joe Smith Jr. dared to be great, and Joe DeGuire, who's, I would say, a friend, and I respect him as a promoter and his fighters that he has on his banner for years. No matter what happened, that will always be there. But this is something that's important to me to end it my way and go up against not a cream puff. I could have picked anybody to win in there, and it would have been a joke, but I'm not going to do that to my legacy. I have too much pride as a man. And that's why I chose the most dangerous opponent out there that really nobody wants to jump over and fight. I love the challenge, and I'm taking the challenge head on.
Thank you. And next we have Alex Hammer from Ringside Network.
Hi. Alex Hammer from Ringside Network. Got two questions for Bernard. Bernard, how you doing?
I'm doing good.
Good. Bernard, your training, was it difficult getting up knowing that this was your absolute last fight?
No, it's the opposite. Don't you understand? I'm like this is what, March, December 1st? I'm like a kid getting on Christmas is nearby. I mean, this is what, no, it's the opposite. I mean, because I'm just trying to, which I'm good at, controlling the moment. Controlling the moment. This is professional doing, experience due to you. In any situation where you should be excited, you know how to control the moment. And when you can control the moment, you let others get hyped. And Joe Smith can learn something as you listen. You let others get excited for you. You just do the damn job. So, no. I can get up in the morning at 4:35, which I get up the same time I always got up when I was in my 20s and my 30s. Nothing has changed. It's just automatic. It's a lifestyle. It's a lifestyle for me. And so, no.
Bernard, speaking of others, a lot of our viewers in Philadelphia wanted to ask you if you have any political ambitions once you retire from boxing, such as city council in Philadelphia or something like in North Philadelphia, something like that. They wanted me to ask you that question. If you have any political ambitions, everybody know that you're well liked in the city and loved in the city, and they want to know if you're going to ever translate that into a broader political role.
No.
Absolutely rule that out?
No. Yes.
Okay. All right. My final question is for Joe Smith Jr. Joe, you've never been on a stage this large that you're going to be on December 17th. How, if at all, did you prepare any differently going in to a fight of this magnitude?
No, I didn't change anything. Just work hard like I always do. And, I'm always prepared for a big crowd. The bigger the crowd and the more people around and watching around the world, the better performance I want to put on. So, that just amps me up. I'm very excited to be fighting on this card.
Thank you. And once again, if you have a question, please press star 1. And we have no further questions.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, everyone, for joining today's media conference call. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you all.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. This concludes today's conference. Thank you for participating. You may now disconnect.